Hey everyone, it's Chewy again, and my glasses are very dirty. But more importantly, last night I played my final few matches of the Gears of War Reloaded multiplayer beta, weekend 2. Shortly before it ended at midnight, I think I wrapped up around like 11:40, so I got those last few matches in just in time. And unfortunately, about 3 out of the 5 last few matches I played, I basically got steamrolled by Giga Chads who were way better than me. But that's okay because ultimately, this video review of Gears of War Reloaded, or at least what we have had access to so far, is going to revolve around the fact that I think it is still fantastic as a remake of the original Gears of War, and I guess technically as a remake of Gears of War Ultimate as well. I just think it's peak. I think it holds up so well. I think it's an amazing remake of an amazing game. Now, it's not without its issues, and I know if I don't put this disclaimer here, I might get torn apart in the comments about the connection issues and the disconnects and the lag. And it's like, yeah, I know all that stuff exists, but it was just a beta, and I have faith in the coalition that hopefully they will not screw it up for the full release. I mean, literally the point of a beta is to collect data on these issues so they can be fixed. But anyways, before we go headfirst into all that stuff, excuse me, I want to give some context. Once again, if you've seen my first video on the Gears of War Reloaded beta, you'll already know this, but I don't think many people watch that, so I'm going to just give some context here. I am a lifelong Gears of War fan. I got the original Gears of War on Xbox 360 the day it released in 2006. I have put dozens upon dozens, probably hundreds of hours into the series, all the way from the original, all the way to Gears 5, including even Gears Judgment, which I hate, but I still played quite a bit of, probably more than most Gears of War fans. I took Gears of War 2 in particular very seriously. I had a 2.5 KD ratio in Guardian in that game, although I never actually got my wings, so to speak. Which just means I never got to level 100 for those who somehow didn't play that but are still Gears of War fans. But anyways, with regard to the Gears of War Reloaded beta, I played a grand total of 30 matches. I can put my stats up on screen because I actually got a screenshot of them right before it ended. So I played 30 matches total. I had a pretty mediocre KD and win-loss ratio, but I'm not really upset about that or anything. I mean, it's been a long time since I played Gears of War, so I was pretty rusty. Plus, I kind of was just running around with a chainsaw for like the vast majority of my matches, which is a very unpopular play style for hardcore fans of the series. But you know, it's just how I do. That's just how I be. But seriously, that's what I find fun. There is nothing so much more immensely satisfying than hearing your character scream like a maniac as he saws the enemy in half, you know? Alright, so how much of the beta I played? 30 matches. Core playstyle covered. My favorite maps. My favorite maps in the whole series specifically. God, what would I go with? I feel like, honestly, most of my favorite maps are back from the original Gears of War, which makes it all the better that that's the one that is getting remade again. Particular standouts would be Gridlock, which was in the beta this weekend. Fuel Depot, Canals, of course, can't forget Canals. Oh, see, Gridlock, Fuel Depot, Canals. Oh, Jacinto from Gears of War 2. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. River from Gears of War 2 was also very good. Honestly, I'd say practically every map in the original Gears of War 1 and 2 were great. I think Gears of War 3 is where it got to a point where I started being like, okay, there's definitely some duds in here. There's definitely some ones I don't like. But Gears of War 1 and 2, some of the most consistent, solid, just immaculate sets of maps that there's ever been in multiplayer video games, as far as relative to what I've ever played. So, my favorite Gears of War game, probably Gears of War 3, although you could pick any from the original trilogy and then they would be nearly equal, I would say. But if I really had to pick, I'd probably go with 3, although over time I honestly feel like that opinion might shift depending on how much Gears Reloaded I play. And of course, Gears of War E-Day is releasing next year in 2026, and that could kind of flip things on its head if it's worth a 7-year wait for an actual fully new Gears game. But anyways, Judgment is by far the worst of the series in my opinion. I know that a lot of people would disagree, and there's a big hate bandwagon train for Gears 4 and 5, but honestly I enjoyed the hell out of Gears of War 4, and I also got a good bit of enjoyment out of Gears 5, even though it was one of the weaker ones. I just think Judgment abandoned practically everything that made the series multiplayer good, and if you can say anything positive about Gears 4 and 5, it's like at the very least they actually feel like Gears of War games. Judgment simply does not feel like a Gears of War game. So I don't have as much disdain for the Coalition as a lot of people do. And also, honestly, I think Epic Games probably deserves a bit more criticism for how they almost tried to, destroy the very playstyle that has become so beloved by hardcore fans. Just a quick reminder to y'all, Epic Games was not intending for Nasher duels and Nasher battles to ever be a thing, and they almost completely destroyed the whole Nasher gameplay system in Gears of War 2, but there was such strong backlash that they reverted the decision and nerfed the chainsaw in that game and buffed the Nashers. So yeah. My favorite characters in the series, Coltrane, because Coltrane runs on whole grain, baby. And also for the Locust side, I guess Beast Rider probably, although I'd say there's more Locust characters that I would pick from that would be pretty close to equal to Beast Rider. And Beast Rider wasn't even originally in the original Gears of War, but he's in the Gears of War Reloaded, so that's cool. Favorite game modes, King of the Hill / Annex / Blitz. I think Blitz was exclusive to Gears of War Ultimate. It would be pretty sweet if they brought that back, because it's a nice, unique twist on King of the Hill and Annex. I also, in Gears of War 2, really liked Guardian and Wingman. I don't know if they ever brought Wingman back after Gears of War 2. That was the duos mode, basically. It was, I think, 7 teams of 2 or something like that. My general skill level used to be way better. I had a 2.5 KD ratio in Gears of War 2. But that skill has dwindled quite a bit in favor of just playing in a more fun, casual way, because, I'm older, I'm already in my 30s, so I'm literally a boomer at this point, and ain't nobody got time to be perfecting their video game skills when they have a real life in the way as an obstacle. So, but more seriously, my rank in each Gears game since 2, because the first one didn't have a ranking system. I believe I was level, I want to say 65 in Gears of War 2, roughly. Gears of War 3, I think I re-upped once, maybe twice, and ever since then I don't think I've re-upped again, and I've just gotten into the late, close to 100. So I guess, weirdly enough, I haven't reached very high ranks in the series, but still, it takes a lot of playtime to re-up, and especially re-up multiple times. Favorite power weapons? Longshot, of course. How could it not be one of my favorites as a long-term fan? Frags as well. Frags are underrated. I think people overlook how easy it is to get some fun, cheap kills with the frags. Boom Shot, also a classic, although if I'm being honest, the Boom Shot in Gears Reloaded and Gears 1 isn't that great. I briefly attempted to do, what was it called? Game battles, MLG game battles or something like that. Just like actual full-on hyper-competitive play, but I think my team got curb stomped pretty quickly in whatever league we were in at the time, whatever bracket, and I never really tried that again. That was for Gears of War, the original Gears of War, if I recall correctly, or it might have been Gears of War 2, I'm not sure, honestly. How much time have I put into this series? I don't know. Hundreds of hours, most likely. It's got to be hundreds of hours at this point. I mean, if I've put over 10,000 hours into Call of Duty, I've got to have put at least 1,000 hours into Gears of War. I used to play with friends. I'm primarily a lone wolf / solo roller now. I didn't know which of those terms would be better to use, so I just figured I'd throw both of those in. But I primarily play solo while like watching YouTube video essays or listening to music. And I prefer the multiplayer over the campaign, obviously. Although I will say I think most of the Gears of War campaigns are great. Only one I've never finished is Gears 5, because the open world's gimmick just wasn't doing it for me. I mean, by 2019, open world games were pretty played out, and Gears of War hopping on that bandwagon just felt kind of lame. This is just a side note, but I wanted to throw this in here. The Berserker missions in the original Gears of War freaking terrified me when I was a kid. You know, and in 2006, I was like 12 years old or something, and so I just, hearing that crazy screech as it smashed through the wall and could kill you in one bop to the side, like, that was terrifying. Another thing I wanted to mention about this upcoming Gears of War Reloaded game, I'm very excited to do the co-op campaign with my friend who does not have an Xbox, has never had an Xbox, and plays on PlayStation 5, and I think Gears of War adopting crossplay is long overdue, although unfortunately that's also why it's kind of disappointing that, you know, this new remaster does not include any of the other games, particularly 2 or 3, which it would be wonderful to have like a remastered 60 FPS crossplay Gears of War 2 and 3 games, but unfortunately, you know, they say you get what you get and you don't get upset, and this is what we got. So, moving on, I will cover the full beta in depth, although really when I say full beta, I really just mean the full game in general, but I just want to break down a lot of what I think makes it such a masterpiece of a game, why I think it has aged so gracefully over so many years. I mean, his 20th anniversary is coming up next year, and yeah, so I'll see you in the next section. Okay, section 1 of my Gears of War Reloaded multiplayer beta weeks 1 and 2 review. I figured we'd start with what is probably the most important thing in any video game, which is gameplay. And to start off with gameplay, we have movement. Now, there's a lot of people who tend to say that they miss when Gears of War gameplay felt heavy. And I think what they mean by that is, despite the fact that it also feels fast, it's like you are controlling heavy characters who are engaging with heavy objects, but they are moving quickly and they are engaging with these objects quickly. But it's just, it has this nice feel to it, where like, even though there's weight to it, it doesn't feel like the weight actually slows down your ability to pull off crazy like moves and plays and just outmaneuver multiple enemies at the same time and do these sick clutches and gameplays with no respawns, or even, you know, gameplays with respawns. And, you know, and a lot of people also think that the old Gears games feel kind of clunky, especially the original, but honestly I feel like there's almost a certain like charm to the clunkiness of this game that they've kept intact so well. And when you combine it with the new 60 to 120 frames per second, despite the clunkiness and the heaviness, there's a quickness and a smoothness to the movement that you really start to understand and recognize the more you play and the better you get at wall bouncing and just kind of traversing around the map strategically but also quickly and even to an extent stealthily. So yeah, cover system feels great when you kind of just slam to a piece of cover or a vehicle or broken on down object or something. It's like, and your character makes that like sound, like it just it's so satisfying. And running still feels great. It might sound like a weird thing to single out and say feels great just being running, because like you can run in practically every video game now, but with Gears of War it's like they really go all in on the detail and the meatiness of everything. Like you can really hear the footsteps, and the different characters' footsteps have some different feels to each one, or not different feels, different sounds. Like, for example, the Theron guard, when you're running as him or her, I don't know what gender it is, but when you're running as the Theron guard, it'll make like this like hissing / growling sound that's just so intimidating, but is also like a dead giveaway that one of them is coming up on you if you're playing on the human cog team. So that's definitely something that you want to be aware of, is the sounds of enemies running, or the kind of like grunting as they slam against different pieces of cover, because you never want to turn your back for too long on an open-ended area on a map. You always want to have map awareness. You always want to try to have a general idea of where enemies are, and there's various ways to do that, but I can touch on that later. And anyways, regardless, the running, the cover, the wall bouncing, it all feels great. Switching weapons, thankfully they've kept that to the same control scheme, which is just using the D-pad if you're on Xbox, and whatever that equivalent is called on like PlayStation. I have no idea how you switch weapons on the PC though, not gonna lie. Aiming feels great. It's, I think, one thing that's noticeable about Gears of War compared to other shooter games in modern times is that there's basically no flinch when you're firing or aiming your guns, which I guess is debatably a good thing, but I kind of like it. I don't think Gears of War is a game that really needs flinch, honestly. Executions feel fantastic. Like I said, Chainsaw is just pure sex. The curb stomp is also wonderful as well, and I also love that you can literally spin around while you do the curb stomp. There's simpler ways to execute enemies, like just point blank blasting them with the Gnasher, or giving them a quick whack with your gun, stuff like that. But I think the curb stomp and the chainsaw kill is the best way to execute someone still. It may take a little more time, may not be as practical, may put you in a lot more danger, but it's just worth it. It's so satisfying. The two-piece, I believe, has returned, although I will admit it did not happen to me very many times. Two-piece is when you melee an enemy quickly and then immediately follow it up with a shot from the shotgun, the Gnasher, that usually downs them or even just insta-jibs them. And anyways, yeah, moving on to play styles. Tactical, aka defensive, aka basically just camping power weapons or objectives. I think this is a legit play style. Like, I mean, you could call it camping, you could call it newbie or skillless, but there is tactics to it, which is why I called it like tactical defense. And part of what makes camping in Gears of War different than camping in like Call of Duty or Halo or something, or actually maybe not so different from Halo, but different from Call of Duty, is there are power weapons on the map, and everyone spawns with the same weapons. So the power weapons really dictate who is in control of different areas on the map. Like if you're playing King of the Hill and your whole team's controlling the hill, but you're not paying attention to power weapons, then one player could pick up the boom shot and wipe you all out with a couple shots and take the hill back. So if you are going to do that camping style, you need to make sure you have a good monitor on the power weapons when they respawn, if anyone's getting them, and how you can counter them. And I think one thing that's nice about the power weapons is that they kind of counter each other a lot of the time. Like someone could have the boom shot and be coming up on the hill and ready to blow up all the enemies in there. But if someone in the hill or across the map has the long shot, they can just pop the boom shot user's head before they can even fire the thing. Same thing with grenades. Grenades can be used. You can chuck them into the area where the hill is, or if you see your enemies fighting, if you see enemies fighting with your teammates, you can chuck the grenades towards them and then kind of use some cover fire to weaken them enough for the grenade to definitely blow them up. But there's also the general strat of having one or two Lancer / snub pistol users stay back and just kind of spray at enemies while the Nasher Giga Chads rush in and jib them with their Nashers, which I think is probably the most effective, albeit somewhat cheap way of playing the game. Or you can just be like me and run in blindly with a chainsaw and hope for the best and get a little giddy every time you get a nice chainsaw kill or execution or whatever you want to call it. Then there's sound. Like I said, listening for footsteps is important, can be the difference between life or death. There's also sound cues with different objective things and different weapon things, like recognizing the sound of different power weapons is important because they don't just announce like what the power weapon that an enemy coming up on you has, but they have really distinct sounds. There will be a little cue, noise cue, music cue, whatever you call it, every time you cap a ring, break a ring, and when a power weapon is picked up, there will be a little indicator in the bottom left screen like, hey, someone has picked up this weapon. It won't tell you who, although it will indicate by color what team has picked it up, which obviously is good to know. And I think there might be a sound cue that plays when you pick it up. I'm not sure. But anyways, character dialogue is great. There's some absolute classic lines in this game like "one dead grub," which is of course a favorite, or "eat shit and die," which is another one. And I believe Coltrane is the one, Coltrane, my favorite, he's the one who says "back in your hole, bitch." A lot of profanity, a lot of very aggressive, manly, just badass one-liners and dialogues and slam dunks on the enemies when you kill them or down them or whatever. The announcers, I'm pretty sure this game has announcers too, although I swear I don't remember hearing them while I was playing. Maybe they weren't introduced into Gears of War 2, although I'm almost positive you have Mira, the Locust Queen, as the announcer for the Locust team, and then Captain Hoffman for the COG team. But regardless, if I'm not going insane, the announcers are really good. Every great, multiplayer video game has team-specific announcers, of course, so that's a big bonus. Like I said, managing power weapons is good. Don't need to go over that again. Trolling and teabagging, time-honored tradition. Don't be a softie and complain about it. Just take it on the chin and learn to accept that if you suck or if you have a bad match, you're probably going to get teabagged, and that's okay. We all learn from our mistakes. We all grow a little stronger when we get that happening to us. So just chill. Don't whine about it on Reddit and enjoy it. Well, maybe not enjoy it, but you know what I mean. So overall, the game is easy to learn. Wait, no, it's not easy to learn. I don't know what I'm saying. It is somewhat easy to learn. There are some strategies you can choose to make the game a little easier for newcomers, but ultimately I would say it's a lot more difficult to learn than something like Call of Duty or Halo, and it is very hard to master, especially when you get deep into the wall bouncing gameplay and the high level Nasher gameplay, Nasher duels, Nasher battles, 4 pieces, all that stuff. But, a very good coordinated team can easily skunk an enemy team, by which I mean blow them out with a complete victory with the enemy team not even getting 1 point. And one of the most exciting things about Gears of War since the beginning is having those clutches where it's like you're the only one left on your team against 4 other players in an execution match, and you got to find a way to outsmart or outplay the enemy. But yeah, that covers most of the gameplay stuff, I believe. And I guess to summarize, in the Department of Movement, different available play styles to learn and master, sound design, dialogue and voice acting, and power weapons, and all that stuff. It's just all great. It's all immaculate. And so, yeah, that all holds up very well. And we'll move on to the next section in just a moment. Okay, and now I would like to talk about map design and general aesthetics, and this will probably be a fairly brief little section. So the maps, one of the key things I would say is the general symmetry to their design, and this symmetry provides fairness, because with the symmetry, each team has equal opportunity and fairness and ability to get to the power weapons as quickly as each team can get to them equally quickly, is what I'm saying. And it's just up to each team to decide how to spread their 4 players across the map at the beginning of spawn, to figure out how to do that, what the best method is, because, you know, if you all go for one power weapon, the enemy team can all go for the other, or you can split up and do it 2 and 2, or you can just ignore power weapons and only go right for the objective, or just all kinds of stuff like that. You can have some people flank enemies. And now in the respawn game modes, of course, this isn't quite as important, but in the one life game modes, the control of power weapons is very important. And the cover on the maps are very well placed. You know, there's plenty of ways to escape gunfights, not necessarily in a cheap way, but to just dodge and go between cover and bounce from cover to cover and make sure you're never really caught out in the open for too long. And that's very deliberate. But this cover that's placed all over the place comes in the forms of broken down cars, broken down helicopters, deteriorating cement blocks, all kinds of stuff like that, and it all fits in the context of each respective map's general theme and aesthetic really well, especially in an age of video games where everything tends to look so colorful and wacky and nonsensical. Gears of War is still very gritty and gray and dark and all that. In fact, I would go as far as to say that Gears of War still kind of has a horror vibe to it, and it definitely has that Y2K early to mid 2000s edginess and extreme gore, which is sorely missing from a lot of games these days. And I know some of that is definitely a nostalgia thing, but I really just love that kind of gameplay and aesthetics. I would say 2 things that really need work. One is the spawns. The other is we need the original menus back. The menus in the original Gears of War were just so much more cool than the ones in this remaster, and also the ones in the Ultimate Edition as well. But to go back to the spawns need work, because the big thing is this. Well, 2 big things. I have noticed that it is very easy to spawn near enemies who are completely unaware of the fact that anyone is even spawning near them, and then you usually get a pretty easy cheap kill, or vice versa. And also, I do not know why, but there were so many times where I had like a 15 seconds respawn for no logical reason. I know that they must have their reasons for not making the spawns instant, but like, they do not need to be 15 seconds almost every time. Like, in my opinion, that's just kind of absurd. And honestly, this section has been so quick so far that I think I'm just going to go right into the wrap-up. So, wrap-up and conclusion, etc., etc. Bring back server browser. I'm almost joking. I know they won't, because we're in an era of matchmaking and skill-based matchmaking, so there's no way they're going to actually bring back a server browser, especially not on console. But I figured I'd beg and plead them anyways. So, you know, the original Gears of War was one of the only Xbox games that had or still has a server browser. I don't think the servers are still up. I mean, honestly, I'm tempted to go check after I finish this video. If they were, that would be awesome, but I don't think they are. So yeah, I mean, any hardcore gamer knows what a server browser is, and bringing that back would be amazing. Yeah, don't go too hard on skill-based matchmaking, please. For the love of God, don't turn it into a post-2019 Call of Duty type game. I'd like to think they wouldn't, and even if they tried, they probably wouldn't be able to because the player base is so much smaller than Call of Duty. But still, just please don't. Hit detection with the Nasher absolutely needs work. Again, I was chainsawing most of the time, so I did not see how severe or how many issues there are with the Nasher, but from what I could gather on like the subreddit, it is pretty bad. Input lag is also kind of an issue. It feels still really weird and jarring to like hit A to take cover, and it takes a couple milliseconds for my character to actually take cover. And it's like you'd think it wouldn't be a big deal, but it can it could be a make or break type of issue in a lot of situations. Another issue, there are still some execution stealing glitches where like you can initiate a curb stomp or a chainsaw kill and actually do the whole animation but not get the kill, which is annoying. Should weapon sliding stay? I think that's debatable. It's technically a glitch that was never fixed from the original, but a lot of people like it. I would say if they were going to try to decide whether to quote-unquote fix that or not, then they should just do a poll on X or something like that. Should active long shot downs return? I'd say yes, but I know no one is going to agree with me. Should the Hammer of Dawn be nerfed? Yes, absolutely. I hate to say it, but going up against the infinite ammo Hammer of Dawn on maps like Courtyard is absolutely obnoxious. It sucks. It's just way overpowered. Should Chainsaw Rev stun be toned down? Yes, I would say so. I think getting hit in the pinky with a pistol shot should not make you be stunned for several seconds. Like, that just seems a little ridiculous. I know that's kind of how the original was, but I love chainsawing people, and I think they went a little overkill with the stun you get when you get hit with the chainsaw being revved. Fun little thing I didn't even get to test was I don't know if tagging a down but not out player is with a smoke grenade kills them. It used to be in the original you could tag them with smoke grenades and the smoke would just kind of go off all over around their body while you were teabagging them and they wouldn't actually die. I don't know if they've kept that, but if they did keep it like that, that would be great. If they didn't, maybe revert it back to that. Like multiple teammates smoke tagging a downed enemy and teabagging them is hilarious. I'm sorry. And speaking of toxic behavior in the game, please don't over-police toxic language with AI moderation like Call of Duty does, or hand out bans for people saying stuff that isn't even that bad. Like, I get it. Nobody wants to hear teenagers spouting off slurs, but it's like, you know, most people playing are going to be adults who've been playing this series for well over a decade, and they can handle hearing some curse words, hearing some trash talk. Also, please don't add tons of wacky skins and tracer bullets and rainbow confetti crap. I was already talking about that in my original initial thoughts on the beta, but I just want to reiterate the new features and content that we should be getting if we have like seasons or a battle pass or something like that should just be extra characters, like legacy characters from the actual Gears of War series, not Ninja Turtles, not robots, not, you know, Teletubbies or whatever the hell. So yeah, just we need actual Gears of War characters from the Gears of War universe that fit in with the original Gears of War. And more maps from later in the series would be great, although I do feel concerned about how they would play with the whole, you know, original Gears of War gameplay. It would probably be fine, but adjustments might need to be made, and I don't know if they're willing to put that much effort into it since it's just a remaster of a remaster. Also want to reiterate, please give some kind of meaningful progression. You know, if the rank system is just going to be numbers, at least give us a new seriously achievement. Like, any real Gears fan knows what that is. Make it something crazy, like make it a fucking 1,000,000 kills, I don't care. Like, something attainable though, maybe not 1,000,000, that would be pretty insane. I don't know if the game will even be alive long enough for anyone to get 1,000,000 kills, so maybe more like, you know, 100,000, or just do it like the original, just do 10,000. 10,000 kills that would keep people playing probably for years. But yeah, I really don't think we need many new things or many updates other than like server stability, fixing lag, making sure disconnects don't happen, adding bot backfilling maybe, and of course, probably most importantly, fixing hit detection issues, particularly with the Nasher. But honestly, this game has just simply aged like fine wine, fine damn wine. My predictions and hopes for the longevity of the game, I just hope it stays alive for more than a year or two. But that will remain to be seen. But, the crossplay with PlayStation PC really gives me hope, because a lot of PC and PlayStation players will be playing this for the very first time. And if they like it, they'll probably stick around. I have a side note I want to make. This is kind of random, but Reddit complains way too much. And it's like, I know, it's the internet, it's social media, it's Reddit, it's the neckbeard fedora gamers. But, the way I was seeing people on Reddit be like, they need to delay this, they need to cancel this. It's like, guys, chill out. Like, it's not, the issues aren't that bad. It's a very polished game when you compare it to other betas or alphas or test demos or whatever that we've gotten from other shooter games this decade. Obviously it's a remaster, so it's easier for them to not screw it up, but still, give credit what credit is due. It's super fun to play. And one more thing, I do think weekend 2 of the beta was much better with regard to lag and connections. I don't think I had any disconnects in weekend 2, and very little lag, almost no lag at all. I know not everyone had the same experience, especially the PC players. I think we're suffering from a lot of lag and a lot of glitches and performance issues. But obviously, this game is pretty new to PC, so they have kinks to iron out. But anyways, that's my overall that is my review of the Gears of War Reloaded multiplayer beta. All in all, I'm hyped for the full game. I'm probably going to play the shit out of it. If they add a reasonably achievable seriously achievement, I'm going to go for that. If they add a good re-up system, I'll go as far as I can go with that, as long as the game is alive. Can't wait for this to come out, and I just think this game has aged so amazingly. I think it is damn near a perfect game, and this remaster just makes it feel even better. And I hope they don't ruin it with a bunch of BS. This is one of the closest video games that has ever come to a 10 out of 10, in my opinion. And anyways, like and subscribe. I will see you on the next one, and that's it. Peace.